Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for clicking the link or the thumbnail that brought you here. I am so excited to have you here. My name is Evie. I am a fifth-year PhD student in Ohio. I'm originally from Nigeria. I came here in 2019, and in today's video I'm going to be sharing the step-by-step process for applying to grad school in the United States. So I'm going to be giving you every detail. So if this is something you'd like to see, keep watching. The first and most important part of applying to grad school is choosing your course or major or program. Now, traditionally in Nigeria, we are made to think that we need to continue from bachelor's and then do the same thing for master's, but it is not so when you're applying for grad school in the United States. The United States gives you the opportunity to apply to programs that are not exactly what you studied for your bachelor's, provided you have all that is required to study it. So when you're choosing a major, I suggest that you go with these few tips. One, choose something that you feel you are eligible for. If there are undergrad courses that are required for you to do that course, then make sure that you fulfill those requirements. Number two, do something you're interested in. It's going to be 2 years for a master's, or 5 or 4 or 6 years for a PhD. So try to at least like it to an extent. Number three, choose something that is relevant. If you studied a course that you don't think will be relevant, feel free to diversify. Feel free to try to get some requirements, maybe volunteer somewhere, maybe do an internship that will help you be able to get into your program of interest. Do not feel like you are stuck with whatever course that you initially did for undergrad. Number four tip, when choosing a program, choose a program that you can get funding for. Now, if you can afford to do your master's or your PhD out of pocket, by all means do that, even if I don't recommend, especially for PhD. But if you need funding, then look for programs that will help you get funded. Programs in STEM are more easily funded than programs out of STEM. That does not mean that you need to switch your whole life, but maybe you do. Either way, just make a decision that is very well informed. Number five, choose a program that can help you get a job and also increase how long you can stay in the United States. Again, STEM programs help you have an OPT of 3 years, whereas non-STEM programs keep you for only 1 year. So factor in all of these while you're choosing your program. The next important part is choosing a school. You have decided on your program, or at least 2 programs that you're interested in. You want to choose a school. One of the major mistakes I see many people do is they try to go for the big well-known schools like Harvard, Yale, and all of those big schools. And I would love it if you get in there. But you need to understand that the competition to get in those schools are very, very high, even for Americans. How much more someone who is not? Of course, there are diversity programs that may help qualify you. But my point is, be realistic. What I would say is that you apply to at least 3 schools. The reason why it is just 3 is because applications are expensive, and except you're going to get an application waiver or application fee waiver, it may be costly for you to apply for 5, 6 schools. But if you get an application fee waiver, then please do that. Now, if you're going to be applying to 3 schools, what I would say is choose your dream school. Choose the Harvard, choose the Johns Hopkins, choose whatever is that school that you would absolutely love to go to. Choose that. Now, choose a school that you think is on your level. By on your level, I mean consider your grades. The United States does a CGPA of 4.0, so try to convert it on any website online or do a WES evaluation. That's usually expensive, but you can have an idea of what your GPA is in 4.0 scale if you're coming from a 5.0 scale system, by just doing some conversion online, just to give you an idea. So look at your grades, look at your experience, look at your internships, look at the things you've done, and see if, like, just judge basically. If this is a top tier school with all you've done, whether you've published or you've not published and all of that, do you think that you stand a chance? Or better still, look at the people who have gotten admitted into that school. What was their portfolio like before they got admitted? Do you stand a chance realistically? So that is going to be the school you match with. Then number three, choose a school that seems to be low tier. Now there are many graduates, there are many schools in the US, so I don't really think any is low tier. A school that can offer a master's is probably a good school. However, they were just not your choice schools. Maybe they don't rank top 100 in the world. Schools like that, choose one of that. That's for your three schools. The reason is that you always want to have something to fall back to. Application cycles are in 1 year. So like you apply now, this is application season. By the way, if you did not know, this is application season up until December or January. So you apply now, and if you don't get it, you may have to wait for the next application cycle. Of course, I know there are people who come in spring and all of that, but generally you may have to wait for the next application cycle, which may just take your time. So the reason I'm saying this is so that you have a bit of a bulletproof in case anything happens. If you get a miracle and you get into your dream school, I will be very, very happy for you. But if you don't, at least you have two others. So that's why you need to be very strategic in choosing your school. The next thing I'm going to talk about is your CV slash getting more experience to help you be a good candidate. So I don't know what I'm going to caption about. I'll put a caption there. So you're going to be submitting a CV. I believe even for a master's, I applied for a PhD, but you're going to be submitting a CV. Now, if you're going to be submitting a CV, then that means that there are experiences that they want to see. When you're writing this, do not make light of the things you've done, but do not also try to write everything. Now, something I suggest you do is that you do some introspection, think about the course, and think about the things you've done that would help you excel in that course. Now, if you want to venture into tech and you have absolutely no background in tech, that may be very tricky. That is where I would advise that you go do an internship. Take an unpaid internship. Just work for free. You need the experience for your CV. That would be helpful. If you want to come into molecular biology or any of the sciences, then maybe go intern in a research laboratory. I had to do that for 1 year during my NYSC because I knew I wanted to apply for grad school. So look for an internship, look for an opportunity to get experience. That way, when you're writing your CV, you can highlight those experiences. And also, with writing your CV, you want to make sure that your bullet points, they actually show what you've done. So for instance, if you wrote a code that helped an application, then when you're writing that in your CV, don't just say wrote a code for an application. That's very random. You want to talk about what you use, the skills you use. Did you use Python, Java, all of those things? You want to make sure you highlight it so that they know that this is what you've done. You also want to make sure that you try to quantify what you did. So the success rate, so maybe 5,000 people downloaded that application, so you want to record it there. Generated a code to support an application that was used by 5,000 users, something like that. That way you are actually showing the value you added doing whatever it is that you did. At the end of the day, schools want people who are motivated. Schools want people who would be able to give value and also carry the name of the school in good reputation when they eventually graduate. So you want to show that you're a person of value, and one way to do that is by how you structure your CV. If you do not have enough experience, I really recommend that you go do experience. Now, the reason why all of these are important is that you want to make sure that you strategically place yourself to be able to get funding. Again, I said it that there is funding available, but not everybody gets it. So you want to try to strategically position yourself. The next thing I will talk about is letters of recommendation. That was probably the hardest thing I had to do when I was applying for grad school, but you have to do it. Usually you need about 3 letters of recommendation. Generally, those would come from your professors, not your friends, at least except in specific programs, not your friends, from your professors. So what that means is that if you've not yet graduated from school, you want to start building a good relationship with your professors. If you've graduated and you did not have a good relationship, you want to start texting them happy new year, happy new month, all of those kind of things, because you want letters of recommendation from them. What I advise people when it comes to letters of recommendation is that they actually draft it. As long as the professor doesn't mind, draft it and send it to them. The reason why that will help you is because that way the professor doesn't just write very random, generic things for you. Oh, he was a good student. That doesn't help you. You want to be able to draft a letter of recommendation where the professor talks like they actually know you and they worked with you. Maybe you got this grade in this test, you got this grade in this quiz, you were very inquisitive in class, you were a very prompt and early student, stuff like that. Things that put you in a good light and also show that you and the professor have some bit of a personal professional relationship. So I would advise that you actually try your best to draft it. I can put examples of drafts in the description box as PDF, so if you want to look into that. But yeah, letters of recommendation are very, very important. Look for the top professors, but if you can't get the top professors, then just the ones who have taught you, that's okay. Make sure that it is personal, make sure that it is good. The thing with the recommendation letters is they upload it, not you. So if you do, so you may not see it. So don't go and choose somebody that does not like you. They will put sand in your garri and you won't like that. So work with people who you are sure would be able to help you. If you've done an internship, your boss at the internship can write a letter of recommendation for you. It doesn't have to be just your professors. Next, and very, very important, is your statement of purpose. Now, your statement of purpose is the part of the application that sums everything together. I have written a couple, I have reviewed a couple. One thing I would like to advise that you do is that you stay away from generic statements that make them want to pity you. Okay, so you start by saying that you grew up in a poor home. Okay, then what? Like, how does that help you sell the story that you are driven, sell the story that you are focused? You grew up in a poor home, except that poverty directly has something to do with why you are applying for this course, or if that poverty directly helps you paint a picture of how you solved a problem, then keep it off. Keep it off, because I'm sure they've seen so much of that from Africans. What do you want to get across with your statement of purpose? You want to get across the fact that you are qualified to be taken in for this master's program. So either the courses that you've done, either the readings you've done, the internships you've done, something qualifies you and makes you eligible. Number two, you want to show them that you have a plan after that master's program. That after the master's program, there is something that program would help you accomplish in your future. And that's why you want to do the master's program or the PhD program. Number three, you want to show them that you definitely understand what the program is all about. You've done your research. You know what they do, you know the courses that they take, you even know the research of certain professors in that program. And that means that you're not just applying because you just decided out of the blue to apply there. You are very, very specific in why you're applying. So when you're writing your statement of purpose, you can put things like, I saw this research from this professor and this helped me decide that I want to do this because I have always felt this was an important thing to study. And when I saw this professor, it was very, very interesting. That way they know that you've done your research. You're not just coming just because that's the only school that is available to you. And then also, even though you're trying to paint that you're motivated and you're focused, maybe you don't have to use those words. You can paint a scenario where you were motivated and you were focused. Top tier schools receive a lot of applications, but there is almost like a way they don't want to just be associated with anybody. So you want to paint yourself in the best light using both your CV and your SOP. What are your great accomplishments that will make them want to work with you? And how did you accomplish that? And how can you apply that in this program that you're trying to get into? And then finally, make sure that you do not rush your essays. Make sure that you do not rush your essays. Make sure that you give people to read over it over and over. I thought I was a great writer until it came to this, and I was giving people and they were calling out grammatical errors. So make sure that you have people that are reading your essays over and over. It's so important, because if you don't do that, you will think that you stand, but you will fall. Eventually, to end in tears, give yourself 1 month to write that essay. Don't write it in 2 days, except you're already experienced with things like this. And then also, this is a bonus point, there are application waivers, and I highly recommend that you email the grad school, whoever is in charge of the grad school, and ask. They just may give you, instead of you spending that $50, which is what, like 50k in naira, you can save it and just apply with application fee waiver. So make sure that you do that. Now, to wrap up this video, I would like to say that you definitely can get it. See, I always say that if I could get into grad school, many people can get into grad school. There's nothing special. I got here, I'm fully funded. There are many people I see here who are fully funded, even on a master's, even on a non-STEM program. So you definitely can do it. If you get rejections, it's normal. We all do. We'll try again. That's how it goes, okay? So I hope that this video has been informative and educative. If you know anyone applying for grad school, this is the grad school application season. If you know anyone, please share this video. Let them know that it is possible. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye.